and gentlemen, everyone around and in between. I am Jared Kubika Miller. I am your professor for new media. Hopefully, we get some people to join, but if you are just joining in, you can always you can post up some comments. And hello, Matthew. And I can see them just like I did right now. All right. And so those include any questions that you have about the course or anything that I'm talking about. But I'm going to be going over some basics about this course. Now, a lot of this was already covered in the welcome lecture. But this is something I actually wanted to do last week. It just, the first week of course got really overwhelming for me. One of the things is that we are having a problem with fraudulent students in these online courses, that people are trying to scam the system for like financial aid money. And so detecting them and rooting them out is becoming an issue. And this course in particular had a lot of that. And so I was wading through a bunch of bots, as we call them, for this. And so you can if you're joining, you can always just post anything you want in the comments, and I'll go over that. But I'm going to go over some of the course requirements. Some of the stuff was covered in there, but I'm also going to go over the blog assignment at the end, and I think that'll. I'm going to add some detail. I'm going to show an example of what you can use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a screen. Let's do a window. Here we go. I'm going to share that. Very nice. Excellent. So we'll get rid of that. Here we go. Okay, so here is the Canvas course. I'm on the syllabus page, and so this is the very top, and so I have embedded the syllabus. There I am. That picture is more than 5 years old now, so I need to get an updated one, but it has all the information that you need. And so I want you to know that if you go down to the table of contents, you could click on any of these and it will jump down to that section for you. But the course requirements here have a big overview for this course. Okay. Hello, if you just joined, you can post any comments that you want, and I could see them and reply to them in real time. Okay, so any questions that you got. So in these course requirements, I really tried to make the understanding of this course as straightforward as possible and simple as possible, because it's happening online and I don't want to overcomplicate things. And so we're having readings and discussions. That's basically what we're doing right now, but we're getting started on this blog assignment is the first thing that we're going to be doing as a sort of a series of writing assignments. But then we have this thing called the new media artifact, which is like a semester long project for you. And if you want to work with somebody else or a group of people, you can do that. And finally, we have a couple of exams. And so there's 2 exams, and therefore you could think of those as being 10% each. All right. So notice that I don't put most of my emphasis on these exams, right? So the like participating in the course is worth more than that by itself. But we're going to get into the blog in a little bit. Okay. Like I said, if you wanted to, you could click on any of these to take you down to that section. So I think the tentative schedule might be one of the most helpful sections in the syllabus. And when you look here, I actually have a breakdown of every week in the semester based on learning units. Okay, so you can see here that the weeks. Now, some of these learning units are multiple weeks. We right now, as of this stream, we are in week 2. We are in Tuesday of week 2. Okay, and so we get started really, really slow in this class. If you feel like it's dragging a little bit, I'm sorry, but I promise you that it will pick up as far as like, new and creative information. But we got to really cover some basics beforehand, and I want to give people a little bit of time to get used to the course. So that's why I make sure that it moves kind of slow. Okay, all right. So we are in, and so I have learning units in one column. Oh, come on now. Learning units in one column. These are the lectures that I'm going to be giving. So every one of those bullet points would be a lecture that, and I'll show you those lectures in a second. But then we have assignments and activities, and I have the due dates for those assignments and activities. Okay, so in the third column there. And you can look at that. Now, if you get down to the bottom, I still am kind of adding more detail. There will be more detail in the very near future for those ones, but I have all the details that you need through week 11 in the syllabus, but you will see more and more details being built out in weeks 12 through 16 shortly, okay? So you can always look to the syllabus in order to kind of give you an overview. But I recommend simply going to the modules. The modules, it will roll out all the content that you need on a week-to-week basis, okay? So right now, we last week, defining new media was the only module that was available. And now principles of communication is the only one that is available. So I'm going to kind of collapse these ones just to kind of show you, give you a more of an overview rather than overwhelm you with it, right? So right now, this is what you can see. And these modules will be unlocked in the future automatically, okay? And so all you need to do is once you come in, I will unlock these on Saturday mornings, okay? So it's not every Saturday because we only have 6 units, right? Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. I'm sorry. So we got 8 units total. But whenever a new module unlocks, it will be unlocked on a Saturday. That gives you an opportunity to get a head start on the weekend. But I recognize that most people might just be working on Mondays. If you just joined, you can comment in the comment section and I can see it. And so if you have any questions, I can answer in real time. All right. So, so for instance, the principles of communication, this was unlocked the previous Saturday. New media in the self is going to unlock this upcoming Saturday at, Friday midnight, Saturday midnight. So the Friday, Saturday. Okay. So that's when it unlocks. That's when they always unlock. But basically, all you got to do is work through all of the content in each of the modules, and you are doing just fine. So that's how you know that you are keeping up with the content, is by doing these things. Okay. So let's take a look at, for example, when you're looking at these things, you'll see a number of different types of activities. All right. So these pages or these assignments are the lectures. The quizzes, it'll say reading assignment or discussion assignment. And so the reading assignments, if it has the little rocket ship, that's an indication that it's a short quiz. Those are really easy reading assignments, and you could do those. Okay. But so anytime it says an assignment, it is the lecture. Anytime it says it has the little rocket ship, that is a quiz. Anytime it has the little speech bubbles, that is a discussion assignment. Okay. So for instance, in this week's learning unit, this module, we have 1, 2, 3 lectures. Okay. The lectures at the very beginning of class are going to be shorter than the lectures that come afterwards in the later units. All right. So let's take for example a digital communication model, and what we use for the lectures is VoiceThread. Okay. And you're going to see on my side, but we're going to open up in a full tab. So for you, when you are opening this up, you could open it up in a new tab, but so let's actually go all the way back to the beginning. So it kind of leaves off. All right. And you will always see that I have recorded a little bit for every single slide. All right. And all you need to do is go through and look at the slide and listen to my lecture. All right. And so I usually talk for between 3 and 7 minutes per slide. And like I said, these slides are shorter than the others. Okay. And so hold on a second. Why can't I? Oh, I gotta, give me a second. Okay. So for instance, these slideshows are like, maybe 10 or 11 slides total, which puts it at about a 1 hour listening total, because, they're about 5 to 7 minutes each. And so that's how you engage it. Now, what you need to do in these lectures is you need to listen for when I have a specific and direct question that I want you to respond to, or a prompt. You could call it a prompt if you wanted to. You can put closed captioning on them, and so you should be able to see it written out on the side. So if you want to kind of skip ahead and things like that, you could do that. But one important part I want you to realize is that these lectures are what's going to make up the midterm and final quiz questions. So if you want to study for the midterm and final, it's the lectures that you got to study for them. I'm also going to do my best to generate study guides from these lectures. I still have to record some of these lectures that are happening later in the semester. I haven't quite finished those yet. But the slideshows are done, and so all I need to do is record the actual content for them. All right. And so as you progress through it, you can see that people are they're posting up responses to these different slides. And so this one is not completely done yet, but people have have provided some sort of feedback, and so you can add your own comment, or you could respond to somebody else as well. Okay, so that's what the lectures are like. I'm trying to create as much interactivity in this class as possible, especially considering it is a new media course. Okay, so those are the lectures. Now, as far as reading assignments go, reading assignments will always have some sort of link. Either there will be like a PDF, which I've already downloaded, so you could download the PDF yourself, or there will be a URL link to an article for you to read. Either way, but it's always the case where you got to do the reading and then you take a quiz. And I'm just going to have quizzes be 5 points. There's just going to be 5 questions, 1 point per question. They should be really simple reading assignments. They're usually like 1,000 word articles, and they are relevant to the lecture that they are associated with. So if under the modules, you should be able to see, so the digital communication model also has a digital communication model reading assignment. Then there's a language and communication media the lecture, and then there is the social media and language evolution. So that is its own thing. And then nonverbal communication, there's a when to use periods when texting reading assignment. So you see that there's a lecture and then a reading assignment or discussion. This one is a discussion assignment. We'll get to that one in a second, right? But so every section that we have will have a number of lectures, and there will always be one additional reading, discussion, or viewing assignment that accompanies every lecture. Okay. Now, when it comes to discussions, the discussion assignment is very similar because it will have a reading prompt, but there will be a specific request that I am making for you to talk about what is happening with this one. And that discussion question, you could already see that some people have already done it, right? And so not only do I want you to post, but I want you to respond to people. So sometimes if you're the first person to post on the discussion assignment, you have to come back a little bit later until after other students have posted in order to complete the assignment. So if you're getting ahead of the game, like some of these students right here might have been the first, right? And so they have to come back later on in the week and then find some posts in order to respond to. But that I will always have one discussion assignment per module. Everything else will be lecture and reading or viewing assignments, but I'll always have one discussion assignment. Okay. Every learning unit or module will also have one blog assignment. Okay. And so this first blog assignment is actually just proposing what your blog ought to be. But I want to make sure everyone understands that difference. So there you go. All right. And so like if you take like a view at new media and the self, we have, there is 2 lectures, each with a, oh, I don't have a discussion assignment for that one. Okay, cool. And so there's a viewing assignment and a reading assignment, and then there's a blog post, right? And so that's going to be the case for all of them. They're all going to have, so there's 1 discussion, there's 3 lectures, there's 2 reading assignments, and a blog post. All right. So every unit's going to have a similar sort of layout. All right. Let's take a look at the very first blog post, and that's where, that'll be the end of this one. Okay. So a blog is like one of the older versions of new media, one of the older new media artifacts. I'm going to be using this term artifacts throughout the semester, right? And so I'm kind of like, we're kind of doing the basics of new media, one of the fundamental ones, one of the older ones, okay? And so before we actually start posting blogs, I want to get a sense for what you want to talk about. So this first assignment is going to be about selecting a topic and choosing a title. Okay. So remember, I want you to choose, I want you to, propose a blog in the first step, but wait for approval. Do not create a blog yet. Okay. I want to start with that. Do not create a blog yet. Wait for the approval. After you submit, I'm going to go through and approve them, and you could approve. And the reason being is because I might offer some advice on how to modify your proposal, give it a little bit more detail, a little bit like better boundaries, okay, a little bit better shape. So just for now, just for this week, make a proposition and wait for my feedback before you actually create a blog. All right. So let's take a look at what I mean by for these blog ideas. First off, in the first module, I'll even go back to the first module. Okay. In the first module, I have a history of internet and cyberculture and a reading assignment about cyberculture. You got to do those in order to understand the blog assignment. Okay. You have to do those ones, and you have to understand them. What do I mean by cyberculture? Because that's what's going to help you with choosing a blog topic. Okay. So make sure you're doing that. So in the topic selection, you're going to identify a cyberculture. Now, some people have already submitted. Okay. And that's fine. But what I'm noticing from the very, very early submissions is that they're kind of broad and vague. I'm going to recommend that you get a little bit more specific. I'm trying to give you broad categories, and I want you to kind of use those categories to find out a little bit more specific. So for instance, when I'm talking about gaming communities, notice how I actually identify specific games within them, right? I think that like Minecraft in and of itself could warrant its own blog, right? Like you can have an entire blog about Minecraft and have, an in-depth examination of how Minecraft, it fulfills the definition of a new media, and how and the communities that revolve around it. I think Fortnite as well as like the Red Dead Redemption. There's a lot of games that you can do, but if you have a particular game, I think that if you wanted to do a gaming community, I think I'm going to recommend that you get a little bit more specific than just gaming communities. I don't want you to do all gaming communities, right? So same thing for all of these. These are broad categories, and then I want you to kind of focus in within that category for your blog to give it a little bit better definition. Okay. So I wrote one up for myself. Okay. So in my example, I am doing the niche interest forum. I'm gonna try my niche interest. And so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to explore. I'm proposing exploring where Michelin stars meet new media. Now, if you don't know, Michelin starred cuisine is it is like really high-end cuisine. It's those fancy sort of like multiple course meals and the small portions, and like fancy stuff that you see cooked on shows and things like that. And so I explained my interests, that like me and my wife like to visit restaurants in our travels. I explained that Michelin stars have been around for a lot longer than new media. And so what I'm interested in is how new media might be affecting this sort of pre-established cultural phenomenon, right? It's like, how have they changed it? Has it affected it at all? Is it, and so here, this would be my submission for a blog, right? Notice that while I am doing a niche interest, I'm focusing in on one particular niche interest, which is the cooking, or the, a facet of that. Okay. So in my proposal, I proposed a title. I explained why it interests me, and I talked about what I aim to explore within it. Very simple. It's like, I'm just looking for a paragraph, okay, of those things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to offer feedback in the comments section of your assignment. I'll try to do that as quickly and early as possible for you, and then we can have a discussion that way. You can contact me through inbox if you want to, if you prefer that, and get a little bit more feedback. That's fine. Once you have approval for a blog, you can create it. Now, creating a blog, some people already have blogs. That's great. If you already have a platform that you want to use, you can use that platform, but you have to create a new standalone blog, right? And so it has to be the title of this one. But if you don't have one, if you've never created a blog, I have instructions on how to use Blogger. This is what the website looks like. This is what the logo looks like. I've already created like my blog. I'm going to try to like mirror the class in writing these posts as well. Okay. And so that is that's how we're going to do this. The point is that I need to be able to subscribe to your blog. I need to put your blog on my reading list. So it needs to show up here. So for instance, my teaching assistant, Shan Parker, who I hope that you get to know a lot better, we have been testing out these features. And so whenever you post something on your blog, it should show up on my reading list. So like when you submit your blog to me, I should be able to add, when I manage my blogs, I should be able to add a blog by putting your URL in right here, and I should be able to follow you. I do want to make very clear that you do not need to share, you do not need to make this blog public. It could be private, and the only person that reads it is me. And so I even explain how to do that, on how to make your blog private. Okay, so you do not need to share any information. Not only that, but I don't want you sharing personal information on your blog, even if you only share it with me. Okay, this is not supposed to be some sort of like personal exposition, or or exposing any deep dark secrets or anything like that. None of that. This is just about understanding how the medium of blogging works, and how to start your own and things like that. Okay, so if you've never created a blog, here's instructions on how to do it. If you want to make it completely private to just me and our teaching assistant Shan, then there are ways to do that. But the only way I know how to do that is through Blogger. I don't know how to do that for any other platforms. So if you want to keep it private, Blogger is completely free. It's through Google. You could do it that way. Okay, so that is the nuts and bolts of the assignment. I'm going to hold off on the new media artifact assignment, because it'll come a little bit later. We have plenty of time, but right now I just wanted to kind of cover our bases about what this is. If you got any questions, go ahead, post them in the comments. I could get to them now or later. Or you could just always contact me through the inbox on Canvas. Please communicate with me, okay? The whole point about new media is that it is supposed to be social. It's supposed to be interactive. We're supposed to be able to connect with each other through digital communication. And so let's practice that through this course. Let's be good practitioners of new media by interacting as much as possible. Okay. All right. If I'm not seeing any sort of comments right now, we only got one person watching this live. If you got any questions and you're watching this after I'm done recording, please just reach out to me through inbox on Canvas, and I will. I look forward to seeing all of your work throughout this semester, everybody. All right. See you later. Bye.